Every woman, in one way or another, will test the man she loves. Not because she wants to play games, but because she's wired to seek emotional safety. When a woman tests you, she's not looking for perfection. She's looking for consistency. Her subconscious needs to know if the man she's investing her emotions in can remain grounded when life gets heavy. She wants to see if your calm is stronger than her storm. This isn't manipulation, it's instinct. It's how she determines whether you can lead with stability or if you crumble under emotional pressure. When a woman challenges you, pulls back, or questions your behavior, she's not trying to start conflict. She's trying to feel safe in your energy. Emotional testing is her way of checking, can I trust this man with my vulnerability? Because for a woman, emotional safety matters more than material comfort. You can give her gifts, attention, or promises, but if she can't trust your emotional strength, she will never fully relax in your presence. That's why she'll create small moments of tension, not to push you away, but to see how you handle them. Do you react impulsively or do you respond with calm assurance? Women read energy more than words. When she tests you, she's reading the subtle shifts in your tone, your facial expressions, and your patience. She notices if your confidence is real or if it collapses when she expresses discomfort. She watches if you stay centered when she's emotional or if you mirror her chaos. Because a man who can remain emotionally stable when she's not creates safety. That's when she begins to trust deeper. Her test isn't about control, it's about confirmation. She wants to confirm that the energy she's drawn to isn't temporary confidence. It's a grounded presence she can lean into. Most men misread these tests as disrespect or drama. They take her emotional fluctuations personally and react defensively, but a wise man understands that these moments are opportunities to show emotional maturity. When she pulls away, he doesn't chase. When she becomes silent, he doesn't panic. When she questions his intentions, he listens without taking offense. Through that steadiness, she sees his strength. Emotional testing reveals not just how much a man loves her, but how much control he has over himself. And women respect self-control. It's a signal of emotional leadership. A woman will test to see if your words match your energy. She'll notice if your actions align with what you promised when things were easy. Anyone can be calm when life is peaceful, but emotional testing happens when emotions run high. When she cries, criticizes, or distances herself, she's often saying, "Show me you're still the same man you were when things were good." It's her way of asking, "Can I still trust your energy when mine feels unstable?" If you fail those moments by reacting with anger, withdrawal, or ego, she internalizes a message. He can't hold emotional space for me. And that's when she starts emotionally detaching, even if she doesn't walk away physically. The truth is, a woman doesn't test the man she doesn't care about. She tests the one she sees potential in, the one she hopes can lead her emotionally, not control her. Her testing is her way of saying, I want to believe in you, but I need to feel you're safe. When a man passes these emotional tests, she naturally surrenders into her femininity. She no longer needs to question or challenge because his consistency answers every doubt. And that's when her love transforms from cautious affection into deep emotional loyalty. Her emotional tests aren't random. They come from her need to connect, to understand, and to feel secure. She wants to see how deep your emotional intelligence goes, how much of her you can hold without judgment. Emotional safety isn't something she asks for directly, it's something she feels through your behavior. When you respond with calm confidence, she doesn't have to test anymore, because her heart finally knows it's safe where it is. Every woman, no matter how confident or independent she appears, carries a quiet need for reassurance. This isn't weakness, it's her emotional language. When she pulls back, becomes distant, or starts questioning your intentions, she's not necessarily losing interest. Often she's seeking confirmation that your love and attention are still rooted in truth. She wants to feel that your presence isn't dependent on her mood or behavior. A woman's need for reassurance isn't about being needy, it's about emotional safety. She needs to know that your affection isn't fragile, that it won't fade when she's at her most vulnerable. When a woman asks subtle questions like, "Do you still love me?" or "Why don't you talk like before?" she's not fishing for compliments. She's checking your emotional consistency. She's trying to measure if the warmth she once felt is still there. Her mind analyzes patterns, your tone, your texts, your patience. When something shifts, even slightly, she feels it before you do. And that's when her need for reassurance rises. It's her way of saying, I just want to know that what we have is still real. Men often misunderstand this as insecurity, but in truth, it's emotional attunement. A woman feels love through consistency. She reads love through effort. Reassurance to a woman doesn't always come from words. It comes from energy, how you show up when she's emotionally distant. When she withdraws, she's not asking you to chase her wildly. She's observing whether you notice her emotional state. Reassurance is your calm persistence, not your panic. It's when you continue to show care without forcing her to open up. When a woman feels emotionally safe, she softens. But when she senses inconsistency, she guards herself. Her distance becomes her defense. She won't argue. She'll simply detach to protect her peace. That's why a man who understands emotional reassurance doesn't need grand gestures. He simply remains steady, showing her that his love is not dependent on external moods. Many men underestimate how deeply reassurance shapes a woman's connection. To her, reassurance is proof that she can trust your emotional reliability. It's not about constant validation, but emotional stability. She wants to see that your feelings remain anchored even when she's unsure of her own. Because when she's emotionally overwhelmed, her inner world becomes chaotic. Her thoughts spiral. She wonders if she's still valued, if her emotions are too much, or if her vulnerability is being judged. That's when your calm presence becomes her grounding force. A simple, sincere effort, a soft word, a patient tone, a consistent action can bring her back from her emotional storm. A woman will sometimes act distant just to see how you respond. She may go quiet to test the strength of your attention, not to manipulate you, but to feel your stability. In those moments, your reaction defines everything. If you become cold or defensive, she learns that love disappears when she needs it most. But if you respond with calm, gentle persistence, she feels secure again. Her tests aren't designed to frustrate you, they're emotional checkpoints. Every woman wants to know if your affection can survive moments of uncertainty. She wants to see if you'll still reach for her when she's not easy to love. When a woman feels unseen, her energy shifts. She stops expressing herself, not because she has nothing to say, but because she doubts you'll listen. Reassurance in that sense is emotional presence, showing that you're still there even when she retreats into silence. It's the patience to hold space without demanding explanations. It's your ability to stay emotionally consistent while she finds her balance. When she senses that, she begins to relax. Her guard lowers, her tone softens, and her affection flows again. Because for a woman, reassurance isn't about control, it's about trust. It's about knowing that your emotional presence doesn't vanish when she's no longer smiling. A woman's need for reassurance is rooted in emotional intelligence, not fragility. It's her way of maintaining connection in a world that often feels uncertain. When you understand this, you stop reacting to her distance and start responding to her emotions. Because sometimes she's not pulling away to leave, she's pulling away to see if you'll follow with calmness, not with fear. She wants to know that even when her emotions fluctuate, your heart remains steady. A woman's emotions often act as a mirror to the energy of the man she's connected to. Her moods, tone, and emotional openness frequently reflect what she feels coming from him. When a man is calm, steady, and emotionally grounded, a woman naturally begins to soften around him. But when he's inconsistent, impatient, or detached, she begins to mirror that energy without even realizing it. This emotional reflection isn't manipulation, it's connection. Women are deeply intuitive beings, tuned to emotional frequencies more than logic. They don't just listen to what you say, they feel who you are in every moment. When she feels secure in your energy, her entire demeanor shifts into peace. Every woman has a natural ability to sense emotional dissonance. She may not always understand what's wrong, but she can feel when something in your energy changes. Maybe you're distant, irritated, or distracted, and even if you don't verbalize it, she feels it. Her response is rarely direct confrontation. Instead, her energy begins to shift in response to yours. If you're closed off, she withdraws. If you're warm and attentive, she opens up. This mirroring happens subconsciously. It's the emotional synchronization that defines intimacy. The energy you project as a man becomes the emotional tone she responds to. Her emotional world is often a reflection of how safe, seen, and valued she feels in your presence. When a man lacks emotional control, a woman often becomes reactive, not because she wants to argue, but because she's absorbing his emotional instability. If he's frustrated, she feels the tension and reflects it back. That's why in relationships, the man's emotional balance often determines the emotional atmosphere. A calm man creates harmony. A chaotic man breeds confusion. A woman doesn't want to lead emotionally. She wants to rest in the energy of someone who can hold steady when she can't. That's why her emotional reactions often reveal more about how she feels around you than about who she is as a person. Many men misunderstand this reflection and assume she's just being emotional. But her emotions are often feedback. They show you the energy she's receiving. When she's irritated or distant, she's not always trying to start a fight. Sometimes she's mirroring your unspoken withdrawal. When she's expressive and affectionate, she's responding to your presence. Women communicate emotionally before they communicate verbally. Her silence, her tone, or even her sudden change in energy, all of it reflects what she feels from you on a deeper level. The emotional mirror she holds up is not meant to blame, it's meant to reveal. When a man learns to master his emotional energy, everything changes. He realizes that his calmness brings her peace, his patience invites her softness, and his presence makes her feel secure. A woman's emotional world thrives under consistency. The more emotionally steady you are, the more freely she can express love. When you become reactive or distant, she mirrors that energy because emotional safety disappears. Her need to protect herself overrides her desire to connect. That's when she becomes cold or guarded, not because she stopped caring, but because she can't feel your emotional availability anymore. It's important to understand that a woman doesn't mirror your emotions out of choice. She does it because she's emotionally intuitive. She feels energy more deeply than logic can explain. When you walk into a room with stress or detachment, she senses it immediately. If you're calm, she relaxes. If you're angry, she tenses. If you're present, she feels secure. The emotional tone you carry becomes the environment she lives in. That's why the most powerful men are those who have learned emotional discipline, not by suppressing feelings, but by managing them with awareness. When a man can stay centered through chaos, a woman mirrors that strength back to him through peace and loyalty. In truth, a woman doesn't demand perfection. She seeks emotional resonance. She needs to feel that the man beside her can hold space for both her light and her storm. The energy you bring teaches her how to respond, how to feel, and how to love in your presence. When your energy is grounded, she reflects warmth, patience, and trust. When it's uncertain, she mirrors confusion, fear, or withdrawal. Her emotional reflection is not a test, it's communication. It's how she silently says, I'm feeling what you're feeling even when you're not saying it. Every woman who truly loves a man will challenge him to grow, not because she wants to control him, but because she sees something in him that he sometimes doesn't see in himself. A woman's love, when genuine, carries an unspoken desire to see the man she loves rise mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Her push is not about dominance, it's about potential. She wants to feel proud of the man she stands beside, not because of what he has, but because of who he's becoming. This desire for growth is a natural part of feminine energy. It nurtures, elevates, and refines whatever it touches. When a woman challenges you, questions your habits, or points out areas where you can improve, she's not trying to diminish you. She's trying to awaken the version of you that matches her vision of what you could become. Sometimes her words come off as criticism, but underneath that, there's faith. Faith that you can do better, lead better, love better, and live better. A woman doesn't invest emotionally in a man unless she believes in his potential. Her frustration often comes from watching him settle for less than he's capable of. When she pushes, it's her way of saying, I see greatness in you, stop hiding from it. Growth doesn't happen in comfort, and women intuitively understand this. That's why a woman who loves you won't always agree with you. She'll hold up a mirror and make you see the parts of yourself you've ignored, the weaknesses, the excuses, the inconsistencies. This can be uncomfortable, especially for men who confuse love with constant approval. But a woman's love isn't passive, it's transformative. She doesn't just want peace, she wants progress. She wants to know that being with her inspires you to evolve, not to remain stagnant. Her presence becomes a quiet catalyst for change, pushing you to face your own potential with courage. There's a difference between a woman who nags and a woman who nurtures growth. A nag tears down, but a woman who truly cares speaks from vision. You'll feel it in her tone. It's not rooted in ego, but in love. She'll challenge your patterns not to belittle you, but to strengthen you. She'll call out your distractions, your fears, your avoidance, not because she wants control, but because she wants partnership with a man who's self-aware and purpose-driven. And sometimes her push can feel uncomfortable, especially if you're not ready to face the truth about yourself. But behind that discomfort lies opportunity. She's inviting you to level up, to align with the version of yourself that she already believes in. A woman's desire for her man to grow is emotional, spiritual, and practical. She wants to feel emotionally safe, and that safety comes from your consistency and maturity. She wants to feel spiritually aligned, knowing you're not just surviving, but evolving. She wants to feel practically secure, seeing that you're ambitious, disciplined, and purpose-oriented. When a man lacks direction, she feels uncertain. When he grows with intention, she feels proud. Her desire for your growth is not selfish, it's connective. It strengthens her trust and deepens her respect. Because a woman respects a man who chooses evolution over ego. Sometimes her push can come during your weakest seasons. When you've lost focus, when you're doubting yourself, or when life feels heavy, she becomes that voice reminding you of who you are. She'll challenge your self-pity, not out of coldness, but because she knows your strength. She doesn't want to mother you. She wants to walk beside a man who's emotionally mature enough to grow through life's challenges. Her love becomes both soft and strong, nurturing and demanding. She'll comfort you when you need it, but she'll also hold you accountable when you avoid growth. A woman's love is a force of elevation. When she loves deeply, she wants to expand with you, not remain in cycles of complacency. Her heart doesn't crave perfection, it craves progress. She wants to see the man she loves rise, not for status or appearance, but because she knows his best self brings peace and purpose to the relationship. Her desire for growth is the purest form of belief, a reflection of her emotional investment and faith in your potential. A woman's silence is never empty. When she stops talking, she starts watching. She observes the way you move, the way you react, and the way you treat her when no one is watching. Every word you say is important, but your actions tell her who you truly are. Women are deeply intuitive beings. They pick up on small details, on emotional shifts, on inconsistencies between what you say and what you do. When she begins to care about a man, her mind doesn't just listen, it studies. She observes patterns, tone, energy, and behavior. She learns your habits, not to judge them, but to understand your truth. A woman will often go quiet when she senses something off. Her silence is her investigation. She's watching to see if your behavior aligns with your words. She won't always confront you immediately because confrontation isn't her first response. Observation is. She wants to give you space to show yourself. When a woman loves you, she wants to believe your intentions are genuine, but if your actions start to contradict your promises, her instincts awaken. She begins to take mental notes, how attentive you are, how present you remain, how consistent your energy feels. Her silence in these moments is not disinterest, it's data collection. She's reading you without asking questions. Men often mistake a woman's quietness for indifference, but in reality, that's when she's most aware. When she stops explaining what she needs, it's because she's waiting to see if you already understand. She's testing not through words, but through observation. She wants to see if you notice the small things, when her tone changes, when she's tired, when something's bothering her. The man who pays attention without being told earns her trust. The man who only reacts when she speaks loses her confidence. Because for a woman, love is not measured in what you say during big moments. It's measured in what you do during quiet ones. A woman's silent observation often begins when she feels emotionally uncertain. She may sense that something has shifted in the relationship, a drop in effort, a change in energy, a lack of presence. Instead of arguing or demanding answers, she pulls back to see what you'll do when she stops giving so much. This is where her intuition becomes her guide. She watches your response to her distance. Will you notice her silence, or will you take it as peace? Will you step closer, or will you assume she no longer needs connection? Her silence isn't punishment, it's clarity seeking. It's how she determines the depth of your emotional awareness. When a woman observes you, she's studying your consistency. Do your actions align with your words even when she's not watching? Do you still show effort when things aren't convenient? Do you handle frustration with respect, or do you let anger speak for you? These are the moments that define how safe she feels around you. A woman's mind is always connecting emotional dots. She's piecing together how reliable your love is, not through declarations, but through patterns. She doesn't need constant perfection, she just needs alignment. Because a woman who feels she has to explain integrity will eventually stop trying to connect. The more emotionally intelligent a woman is, the quieter her observation becomes. She doesn't argue over small things anymore. She watches and decides. She pays attention to how you treat people, how you manage pressure, how you respond when she disagrees. She notices your patience when she's emotional and your humility when you're wrong. These moments become emotional evidence. Over time, they shape how much she trusts you, how much she opens up, and how deeply she loves. Her silence is not distance, it's discernment. She's deciding whether your energy matches the safety her heart requires. When a woman falls in love, her observation deepens even more. She becomes highly attuned to the emotional rhythm of the relationship. She notices when you're distracted, when your affection changes, and when your priorities shift. She might not always say it out loud, but she feels it immediately. Her silence becomes her way of protecting her emotions while trying to understand yours. She doesn't want to accuse or assume. She wants to see if your actions will clarify her doubts. In her silence, she's asking a silent question. Are you the same man when I'm not asking for your effort? A woman's quiet observation is her emotional radar. It tells her whether the relationship is built on truth or illusion. She listens to your consistency more than your words. She watches how you treat her when you're tired, how you speak about her when she's not there, and how you show up when love requires effort. Her silence is full of awareness, her observation full of meaning. Every glance, every pause, every unspoken moment holds understanding, because to a woman, love isn't just heard, it's seen. When a woman feels emotionally safe with a man, something profound happens inside her. She begins to love him from a place of peace, not fear. Emotional reward is what she gives in return for stability, patience, and understanding. It's not something that can be demanded or rushed. It's earned through consistency. When a man passes her silent test with calmness and maturity, her love doesn't just grow, it deepens. She begins to trust not only his words, but his energy. This trust becomes the foundation of emotional intimacy, the kind that no amount of surface attraction can replace. A woman's emotional reward comes in many forms. It's in her softness when she speaks to you, in the warmth of her tone, in the loyalty she gives without question. It's in how she prioritizes your peace, supports your goals, and protects your name when you're not around. When she feels seen, valued, and emotionally safe, she naturally gives more. Her affection becomes effortless, her presence nurturing, her energy healing. She no longer operates from a place of self-protection because she knows she's safe in your emotional consistency. The moment she realizes you're not going anywhere when things get hard, she surrenders emotionally, not in weakness, but in trust. Every woman carries layers of emotional defense built from past experiences, disappointments, or betrayals. She may love deeply, but still hesitate to give fully until she's sure her heart won't be mishandled. That's why patience is powerful. A man who can remain steady while she unpacks her emotions earns her loyalty on a level that can't be forced. He becomes the calm she returns to, not the chaos she runs from. The emotional reward she gives him isn't transactional, it's natural. It flows because his presence brings her peace, and once she feels that peace, her love becomes her greatest gift. Emotional reward also shows in how a woman begins to mirror a man's emotional leadership. When he responds to conflict with calm instead of anger, she follows his tone. When he listens without judgment, she starts to express more. When he respects her boundaries, she feels safe enough to open new layers of vulnerability. She's not rewarding him with words, she's rewarding him with access to her mind, her softness, her devotion. This is something a man can't fake his way into. It's something he earns through emotional discipline. Many men fail to realize that emotional safety is the real key to a woman's heart. She doesn't fall for charm or appearance alone, she falls for consistency. When a man shows that he can be patient when she's emotional, understanding when she's distant, and loyal when life gets messy, she feels secure enough to give him her full heart. The emotional reward that follows is not just affection, it's emotional freedom. She begins to love without hesitation, to trust without second guessing, to express without fear of rejection. Her love evolves from cautious to complete. This emotional reward also reshapes the relationship dynamic. It transforms the energy between them from survival to growth. She no longer feels the need to test, question, or guard herself. Instead, she begins to pour into the relationship. She becomes his peace, his comfort, and his emotional mirror of stability. A woman who feels safe will amplify the energy she receives. When you bring patience, she returns peace. When you bring trust, she returns loyalty. When you bring emotional maturity, she returns devotion. Her love becomes an echo of the energy you've built. When a woman reaches this stage, her presence changes the atmosphere around you. You feel her trust in the way she looks at you, her belief in the way she supports you, her comfort in the silence you share. She no longer operates in defense mode because your consistency has dismantled her fears. Her emotional reward becomes visible not through grand gestures, but through emotional presence, how she listens, nurtures, and protects the bond. Her energy becomes your emotional home, built on the foundation of safety you created through patience and stability. The emotional reward a woman gives is sacred. It's the transformation of guarded love into open, fearless affection. It's when she stops questioning your intentions and starts aligning her heart with yours. It's the result of emotional integrity, the kind of leadership that allows her to feel safe enough to stop testing and start trusting. Her love becomes not just a reaction, but a reflection of your emotional growth. Every woman's behavior, whether it comes through testing, silence, distance, or affection, carries emotional meaning. She isn't complex to confuse you. She's layered to protect what she feels deeply. Her actions are never random. They are reflections of her needs, her trust, and her search for emotional safety. When a man learns to understand those layers instead of reacting to them, everything changes. The relationship stops being a power struggle and becomes a partnership of emotional growth. A woman doesn't want perfection. She wants presence. She doesn't need endless promises. She needs proof through consistency. She reads energy before she believes words. When you remain calm during her storms, patient during her confusion, and grounded when emotions rise, you become the safety she's been looking for. That's when her love transforms from guarded affection into pure devotion. Understanding a woman isn't about decoding her, it's about feeling her. It's realizing that behind her silence is observation, behind her distance is a desire for reassurance, and behind her challenges is faith in your potential. When a man meets those emotions with maturity and strength, he doesn't just win her love, he earns her trust, her peace, and her lifelong loyalty. Because in the end, every woman wants the same thing, to love and be loved in a space where she feels emotionally safe to be her whole self.